The first time I saw him cry, I laughed. Not out of cruelty, but because the situation was absurd. Here we were, two grown men, huddled on the floor of a half-empty coffee shop in downtown Chicago, soaked from the rain and arguing about the most ridiculous thing, whose turn it was to pay for extra guacamole. And he, the boy who now owned my heart in ways I didn't even know could happen, was utterly defeated by a burrito. His name is Alex. And Alex has this way of making every problem feel monumental and insignificant at the same time. His dark hair falls into his eyes when he's frustrated, which, ironically, only makes me want to lean closer and kiss him. That day, I reached over, wiped the rain from his cheek, and whispered, "It's just guacamole." He blinked at me, stunned, before breaking into a grin that made my chest ache. "You're impossible," he said. And I knew then that I would chase that impossible smile forever. Our story didn't start with laughter, though. It started with scars, invisible ones. Alex and I met at a support group for people trying to navigate the wreckage of failed relationships. I was fresh from a breakup that had left me questioning every decision I'd ever made, every word I'd ever said. Alex, he was different. His pain was quieter, deeper, like a river that ran under ice. And yet, there was a magnetism in the way he carried Ida, quiet defiance that pulled me in. We began sitting together after group sessions, sharing small bits of ourselves. First, it was safe things, favorite songs, childhood memories. Then, slowly, dangerously, it became the things we were ashamed of, our insecurities, the moments we wished we could erase. And with each confession, the space between us shrank. I could feel the warmth of his arm brushing mine. I could feel his breath when he laughed at my dumb jokes. And somewhere between one shared cigarette on a windy rooftop and two nervous hands brushing under a table, I realized I was falling. Hard. Alex noticed first. Or maybe I just let him notice. One night, I found myself on his balcony, staring at the city lights, and he was behind me, close enough that I could feel the heat radiating off his body. He didn't say anything at first. He just rested his hand on my shoulder. I turned slowly, heart hammering, and our eyes met. "You don't have to hide anymore," he whispered. And in that moment, the world shrank to just the two of us. The hum of the city below, the soft patter of rain against the glass. I leaned into him, feeling the tension of years of loneliness melt into something softer, something that felt like home. But love, even the kind that heals, has its battles. A week after that night, I found myself staring at a message on my phone from my ex Sumyeon who had left me in pieces, now trying to pull me back with hollow apologies. Alex saw me reading it, the muscles in my jaw tightening, my thumb hovering over the delete button. "Don't," he said simply, but there was a storm behind his calm voice. "Delete it, burn it, whatever you need, but you don't touch it again." I knew then that he wasn't just protective, he was territorial, in the most beautiful and terrifying way. I wanted to fight him on it, to argue that I was my own person, but when he looked at me, eyes dark and unwavering, I couldn't. I didn't want to, because beneath that possessiveness was a truth I couldn't deny. He cared, more than anyone had ever cared before. Our days became a delicate dance of closeness and tension. We'd meet for late-night walks under streetlights, sharing stories and stolen kisses. One time, I caught him staring at me from across a crowded diner, the kind of look that made me forget how to breathe. I leaned over the table, touching his hand, feeling sparks in the simplest contact. "You're mine," he murmured, and I laughed, breathless. "You already are. But the world doesn't pause for love, especially when you're both carrying pieces of broken pasts." There were arguments, too, about nothing and everything at once. About trust, about fear, about the way we clung too tightly or pushed too far. Each fight left bruises, not just on our hearts but on our fragile understanding of each other. And yet, after every storm, we always found our way back, like magnets correcting a flawed trajectory. I remember the night he held me in the rain outside his apartment, shivering in my wet jacket, and whispered, "I won't let you leave me. Not now. Not ever." His voice trembled, not from the cold, but from raw emotion, from fear, from a love so fierce it hurt. I wanted to protest, to tell him that I needed space, that love shouldn't feel like a cage, but the truth was, I didn't want to leave. Not him. Not ever. We collapsed on the floor of his apartment, drenched and exhausted, laughter mixing with tears. Fingers intertwined, we lay there in the dim light, hearts hammering in sync, sharing warmth that no words could ever capture. The weight of our past seemed to lift, replaced by a fragile, fleeting promise. We would heal together. And then the quiet moments began. The mornings where I'd wake to find his head on my chest, breathing slow and steady. The nights when we talked about dreams, about fears, about what it meant to survive heartbreak and still open your heart. Each shared cup of coffee, each stolen kiss, each touch that lingered too long became a testament to the resilience of our love. Alex has this habit of tracing circles on my arm when he's deep in thought. I used to think it was irritating, but now I find myself leaning into it, letting the world blur around us. Those small gestures, the way he smiles when he's proud of something, the way he tucks a stray lock of hair behind my ear make the chaos of the past worth surviving. We've learned that love isn't perfect. It's messy, raw, sometimes terrifying. It's lying awake in the dark, holding someone close and feeling the echo of old pain alongside the pulse of new happiness. It's the laughter in a moment of absurdity and the tears in moments of vulnerability. And most importantly, it's finding someone willing to cling to you even when the storm threatens to pull you apart. The weeks passed like the slow turning of a page, each one revealing layers of Alex I hadn't known existed. I learned that his quiet strength was not invincible, that the boy who seemed unshakable in the group sessions had nights when the shadows of his past chased him relentlessly. And I learned that love could be both a refuge and a battlefield, one that I wanted to fight on his side, no matter the cost. One evening, a storm raged outside, lightning splitting the sky and rain hammering the windows. Alex and I were in his small kitchen, me making coffee while he watched silently, arms crossed, jaw tight. The electricity in the air mirrored the tension between us. "You're tense?" I said, trying to keep my voice light, but he shook his head. "It's nothing," he muttered, but I saw the flicker of worry in his eyes. I stepped closer, brushing a damp strand of hair from his forehead. "It's never nothing with you," I said softly. "Talk to me." He hesitated, as if weighing the danger of honesty against the safety of silence. Finally, his voice came out low, trembling just enough to make me catch my breath. I'm scared. Scared that if I let myself love you fully, I'll lose you or something will ruin this, like the past." I cupped his face in my hands, thumbs brushing over the tension etched in his skin. "Alex, love isn't about avoiding pain. It's about choosing someone over and over, even when it's scary. I choose you, every single day." Something shifted in his expression, the walls he'd built around his heart trembling. And then, slowly, he closed the distance between us, pressing his forehead to mine, letting his fears mingle with mine, letting our hearts beat together in the quiet storm. It was that night that I realized the depth of our connection wasn't just about shared scars, it was about the willingness to face them together. Every argument, every tear, every nervous hand brushing mine had built a bridge stronger than any pain either of us had endured alone. Days turned into weeks, and our bond deepened in ways that were subtle yet profound. We learned to communicate not just with words but with touches, glances, and the unspoken understanding that even in silence, we were tethered to each other. One morning, I woke to find him curled around me, lips brushing the curve of my shoulder, whispering, "Don't ever leave." And I didn't. Not then. Not ever. But life has a way of testing even the strongest love. Alex's past crept into our present, a shadow that refused to stay buried. One afternoon, an unexpected message arrived: his ex, a person who had once fractured his world, now reaching out again. I saw the hesitation in Alex's eyes, the flicker of old fear, and I knew this was a moment that could break or strengthen us. He looked at me, his dark eyes clouded with conflict. "I don't want to fight this," he admitted, voice low. "I don't want it to ruin what we have." I took his hand, intertwining our fingers tightly. "We face it together," I said. "Whatever comes, we face it. You're not alone." And that's what love demanded of us: courage, trust, and a willingness to embrace vulnerability. We navigated the storm together, confronting memories, fears, and doubts that threatened to erode the fragile foundation we had built. Each challenge was met with patience and tenderness, our intimacy becoming both armor and solace. One night, after a particularly grueling session of confronting old wounds, we found ourselves on the rooftop of Alex's building, city lights sprawling beneath us like a map of possibilities. The wind whipped around us, tugging at our hair and clothes, but we didn't care. I pulled him close, feeling the warmth of his body against mine, and whispered, "No matter what, I'm not going anywhere." He leaned into me, his forehead resting against mine, eyes closed. "I know," he breathed, "and I won't let you go either." In that moment, the past, the heartbreak, the fear, the pain seemed to dissolve. There was only us, two flawed, wounded souls who had chosen to lean on each other, to heal, to love. It was a love that wasn't perfect, but it was ours, and that made it invincible. As weeks turned into months, the quiet intimacy of our lives became a sanctuary. We shared mundane routines: the way he poured my coffee just right, the way I left little notes in his coat pocket, but each small gesture was infused with meaning. Even the simplest moments carried weight, a reminder of the journey we had endured and the love that had blossomed from it. One rainy afternoon, as we sat on his sofa, wrapped in blankets and listening to the soft hum of the city, I realized something profound. The boy who had once scared me with his intensity, who had refused to let go of his past, had taught me the true meaning of trust. And I had learned that love wasn't about erasing the past but embracing it together, hand in hand. Alex turned to me, his dark eyes soft, filled with unspoken emotion. "Do you ever think about how far we've come?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. I smiled, leaning my forehead against his. "Every day," I said, "and I can't imagine my life without you in it." He smiled then, that impossible, heart-stopping smile, and pulled me into a tender kiss. It wasn't hurried or desperate, it was steady, grounding, a promise that we would weather any storm together. Later, as we lay entwined, the rain tapping against the windows, I felt the weight of our shared past settle into a quiet peace. The scars remained, but they were no longer chains, they were threads in the tapestry of our love, weaving a story that was uniquely ours. We had started as two fractured hearts, leaning on each other to survive. And now we were more than that. We were partners, confidants, lovers, friends. Every glance, every touch, every whispered word reaffirmed that we had chosen each other, and that choice had transformed us. In the quiet moments, when the world outside seemed distant and irrelevant, I realized the greatest truth. Love is not about perfection or immunity from pain. It's about showing up every day for someone who sees all of you, the broken, the scared, the flawed, and still says, "I choose you," and I did, every single day. Alex's hand found mine as we drifted off to sleep, fingers laced together in a silent vow. The storm had passed, but the memory of it lingered, a reminder of our resilience. And in the soft glow of the city lights filtering through the rain-streaked windows, I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I would never let him go. Not now. Not ever. Because some loves are worth holding on to, fiercely and completely. And ours was one of Thema love, born from brokenness, tempered by vulnerability, and sealed by the unwavering choice to never walk away. And as I drifted into sleep, wrapped in his warmth, I felt the quiet, thrilling certainty that no matter what the future held, we would face it together. Broken pasts had led us here, to this fragile, perfect moment, and I would carry it with me forever. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.